First, I want to say congratulations to TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, Minkah Fitzpatrick, and Chris Boswell. Congratulations on your Pro Bowl selection. I know Minkah Fitzpatrick has been criticized heavily this year for so-called lack of splash plays, but Pittsburgh Steelers fans have to remember one thing. When Minkah doesn't play, the Pittsburgh Steelers defense gives up double the amount of points, so he was a well-worthy selection. The last 11 days, actually 16 to 17 days for the Pittsburgh Steelers have been a complete disaster, filled with negativity. This Cincinnati Bengals game this Saturday is the biggest game of the season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They need to go into the playoffs on a positive note. They need to play well. They need to win. It doesn't matter that they're already guaranteed a playoff spot. They can't come in here and go into the playoffs with 4 consecutive losses, because I really believe that they're not going to win this game. I think they're going to lose 5 games in a row and the season's going to be over. This is the most important game of the season for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And what does George Pickens do the week of the game? What does he do? He makes it about himself. The immature narcissist George Pickens gets asked a legitimate question in the locker room about an interception thrown by Russell Wilson during the Kansas City game. They said to him, Russell Wilson said that you and him weren't on the same page during the interception. No big deal. It's a legitimate question. And what does the Queen, George Pickens, do? He gets all emotional like a little girl, can't answer the question, doesn't act professional, puts his hood up over his head, turns around and ends the conversation, ends the press conference. George Pickens has a $120 million deal hanging over his head. We all know he's a free agent at the end of the season, and he just can't help himself. The Kansas City game, he goes up to Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes, basically saying, come get him. He's a punk. That's what he is. He's never going to change. And when you give him the money, he's only going to get worse. He already has this feeling that the Steelers can't win without him, so it's empowering him and his behavior. Too bad that George Pickens didn't play with Greg Lloyd and Kevin Green, because I guarantee you, after that Chiefs game, if he played with Greg Lloyd and he pulled a stunt like that after the game, that Greg Lloyd in the locker room after that game would have punched him right in his face, and he would have deserved every second of that. So let's jump into the video. Let's watch George Pickens being the immature, unprofessional narcissist that he truly is.
It seemed like you and Russ weren't on the same page on that interception against the Chiefs. How does that happen, and what do you guys do to address it?
You said me and Russ wasn't on the same page?
Yeah, well, that's what he said.
That's what he said?
Yeah.
Or is that what you said?
That's what he said. How do you just address that?
Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys.
You see this clown? He's always looking to be insulted. He's always looking to have some type of issue with his teammates or the media. He's a piece of garbage. He's the only guy out of 55 guys that pulls stunts like this. He needs to go. The Steelers need to say goodbye. And everybody, well, who are they going to sign? They can sign T. Higgins. T. Higgins is 25 years old. He's an inch taller than him. He puts up huge numbers. He's a team-first individual. Give the money to T. Higgins. If you don't want T. Higgins, draft somebody in the draft. It's time to say goodbye to George Pickens. It doesn't matter. The biggest game of the week, the biggest game of the year, and he still can't help himself. He has to make it about him. The question that the reporter asked was no big deal. It wasn't an insult to him. Even if the reporter said it, what's the big deal, George? Grow up, George. Grow up. I know it's tough. I know you think it's all about you. You're a diva. You're a little queen. I really hope you're not in a Pittsburgh Steelers uniform next year. It's time to say goodbye. So let's talk about the Bengals Steelers this Saturday night. What do the Pittsburgh Steelers need to do on defense? Obviously, they need to collapse the pocket on Joe Burrow. They can't let him get comfortable at all the entire game. They need to take Jamar Chase away, his number one receiver. just like in the Kansas City game, if you don't take Travis Kelce away from Patrick Mahomes, only bad things happen. The Chiefs will destroy you all night. And if the Steelers don't take Jamar Chase away, it's going to be a long night for the Pittsburgh Steelers. The Steelers also need to come out. They need to establish the run. They need to run the ball because it opens everything else up. If the Steelers have to throw the ball 25 times to try to go blow for blow with Joe Burrow to win this game, they're going to lose the football game. Russell Wilson is not the answer. I like Russell Wilson. It's nothing personal. He's 36 years old. His legs are shot. His arms are shot. He can't throw the ball downfield anymore. At the end of the season, the Steelers need to say, Russell, you're a good guy. It was great doing business with you. Goodbye. If the Pittsburgh Steelers give Russell Wilson 2 years, $50 million to be their franchise quarterback, and they go into next season and it fizzles out like it did this year, because it will. I made a video, don't believe the Russell Wilson hype. I said as the season goes on, because he's older, his arm won't hold up. That's exactly what's happening right now. If Mike Tomlin signs off to give Russell Wilson a contract extension and goes into next season with him as the starter and it fizzles out, he needs to be fired. He needs to be gone too. Put this in perspective. It's always about winning the Super Bowl in Pittsburgh. If you don't win the Super Bowl, the season is considered a failure. So I want to ask the Pittsburgh fans this. Do you really believe that Russell Wilson can go toe-to-toe, throw for throw with Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Patrick Mahomes? Pittsburgh Steelers in the Super Bowl. The answer is no. For anybody this year that thought that Russell Wilson, let's say, for instance, the Steelers play the Bills or the Chiefs in the AFC Championship, and the Steelers come in on all cylinders, and so do the Chiefs and Bills. Nobody makes a mistake. Do you really think that the Pittsburgh Steelers can outscore either one of those teams with Russell Wilson as quarterback? For the Pittsburgh Steelers to win games against the Buffalo Bills or the Kansas City Chiefs in the AFC Championship, they're going to have to get 4 to 5 sacks. It's going to have to be the most insane game ever where every single thing went right for the Pittsburgh Steelers with Russell Wilson as the quarterback. It's time to say goodbye to Russell Wilson. I like Justin Fields as the backup. I think we should keep him. I thought we should have developed him this entire year. He gives you big playability down the field. He won 3 to 4 games before he was benched. I mean, that's a whole different video. So what is the answer at quarterback? We're obviously probably not going to be able to draft. Well, I mean, who knows? We could draft one. I don't want to go there. I want Sam Darnold. If you watch Sam Darnold, first of all, Sam Darnold started his career the number 1 pick of the New York Jets. Probably the worst organization in the entire NFL. He didn't get a fair shake. He's at Minnesota right now. He could throw that ball 75 yards down the field. He's got a rocket for an arm. He's intelligent. He's been in the league for a while. He automatically gives the Steelers big play opportunity down the field, and he could go throw for throw with a Patrick Mahomes and a Josh Allen and a Lamar Jackson, no problem. The Steelers need to open up their checkbook and bring in Sam Darnold. It's that simple. If Tomlin says no and he gives Russell Wilson big money and the ship sinks again, it's time to say goodbye to both of them. So going into next year, this is what I want to see. I want to see Russell Wilson gone. I want to see George Pickens gone. If you think giving George Pickens huge money is going to fix him or change the situation with his disgusting, vile attitude, it's not. It's only going to make things worse. We all have seen this a million times when the Steelers bring in receivers like this, how it ends up. It's time to say goodbye. It's also time to say goodbye to Cam Sutton. He's been nothing but a distraction in the locker room, whether it's his attitude, his behavior, or his play. He needs to go. Everybody has problems. Everybody on your team has problems. Everybody at work has problems. When you get to the team, it's about the team. Look, this is no knock on Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is a great human being. So I'm not putting Russell Wilson in George Pickens or Cam Sutton category, but it's time to say goodbye to all three of those guys. We can find a corner somewhere in the draft or free agency to replace him. We can let Beanie Bishop take the snaps again. All Beanie Bishop did was take away the ball. He's a great pick out of West Virginia. He should be playing right now. The other thing that the Steelers need to work on in the offseason is this. The offensive line. The offensive line needs to get physically stronger in the weight room. When you look at Troy Fontenot's combine, he's 325 pounds. He only benched 225 17 times. People are going to say, what does that have to do with being a better football? It has a lot to do with being a good offensive lineman. The 225 bench press is a show of overall strength. I'll give you an example. If you bench press 225 30 to 40 times, most likely you bench between 400 and 500 pounds. If you do 225 between 17 and 20 times, you bench between 280 and 315 pounds. Troy Fontenato weighs 325 pounds. If you think this doesn't matter, if you think strength doesn't matter in the NFL, you're fooling yourself. You don't go, as an offensive lineman, you don't go into as no player, a defensive back, a corner, you don't go into the weight room and say, all right, bro, I'm going to take it easy, 4 sets of 10 and some cable crossovers. No. Why do you think James Harrison was so effective rushing the passer at 5'10", 235 pounds? Because he was twice as strong as the offensive lineman that he's going against. If you think that strength doesn't matter, I can't help you. When you watch the Pittsburgh Steelers offensive line, I'm not saying they have to knock defenders 10 yards off the ball, but there's no push off the line of scrimmage. They need to get a yard off the ball. Like, they need to get some push off the line of scrimmage. The entire offensive line needs to get together, maybe train at Westside Barbell in Ohio. They need to get physically stronger. Our offensive line needs to get stronger. We don't maul anybody at the point of attack. We have all these 325-pounders, and if you look at all their combine numbers, none of them are really super strong. 17 reps, 20 reps. I mean, you need offensive linemen putting up 225, 40 to 50 times. That's what it is. If you don't believe me, look at James Harrison's tape. Look at his tape. Look, I want the Steelers to win the Super Bowl. I don't think it's going to happen. I think they lose to the Bengals. I think they go to the playoffs. I think they lose the first round. I think they go on a 5-game losing streak and end the season. And then at the beginning of next year, or going into free agency and the draft, we have major decisions to make. I'll say it again. Time to say goodbye to George Pickens, Cam Sutton, Russell Wilson. Sam Darnold is the answer. If you put Sam Darnold on this team, and Roman Wilson gets healthy, and you sign T. Higgins, and you could throw that ball down the field the way that Sam Darnold could throw the ball, you automatically can hang in there with the elite teams in the NFL. Russell Wilson is not the answer. It's time to move on.